into the second episode of Rawhide's Mob. This episode is presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. We're talking to the head tennis coach, Alex Hunt, and the head cross country and track and field coach, Macario Campos. Okay. So, little recap of what happened over the weekend in Mustang Athletics. We had the Green Chili Classic here. Holy Names University had an impressive 4-0 record for the tournament. Well, the Mustangs unfortunately went 0-4 in the tournament. They looked good, but they just couldn't pull out any victories. They won a few sets. Jasmine Walker and Vianney Lopez Marufo are your athletes of the week, presented by State Farm. We'd like to give a big thank you to the teams that participated in the tournament this weekend. Parkside out of Wisconsin, Holy Names, Fort Lewis College, Cal State University East Bay, and Cal Poly Humboldt. And now, joining me today is head tennis coach Alex Hunt. How are you today, Coach Hunt?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Can't really complain too much. A bit of an easy day. So, I guess my first question for you is kind of, what are you most excited about for this upcoming season?
You know, there's different kinds of excitement for both my men's and women's teams here. And, you know, our men are coming off a year that, you know, Western New Mexico really hadn't had since their nationally ranked days back in the early 2010s, you know, so we pretty much have everyone returning from last year except for Joaquin Del Pino. He graduated and he's off in Atlanta doing his thing. So got all these returners, and then we brought in 2 Germans and an Australian, and you know they've been proven all week, you know, this first week of practice, how kind of powerful and you know effective they're going to be for us. And so it's the men, they're just moving forward, you know, building off a great year last year. So I'm excited to continue getting some impressive results with them. And then the women, you know, we've had very passionate players for us here the past couple of years, and we haven't had a lot of things clicking. You know, we're trying to figure things out, and you know, towards the end of last year, I feel like as young as we were starting to gain momentum and playing a lot better tennis. And so now we've got pretty much every single girl from last year returning, and we welcomed in 4 new players, 3 freshmen and a transfer. And they're all complementing each other very well, and they're playing at a very high level. They had doubles matches today, and it was the highest level of doubles I've probably seen from Western New Mexico tennis in a long time. So it's fun to see. I'm excited to get matches going with them here in a few weeks. So
Yeah, it sounds like you got a good team there. So you got a new GA, Josh, right?
yes.
So can you talk a little bit about how he's going to impact both the men's and the women's team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Josh, the thing I've always loved about him is, like, I've known him since he was like 10 years old, and I was 12 or 13, and we grew up together. We had a lot of the same coaches, and we've had a lot of the same experiences. So, you know, I've been around him a long time. I know how passionate he is about tennis. I know how empathetic he is. So that's one thing I'm very happy about. You know, he's gone through every mental, emotional, or on-court thing these student athletes are going through. And, you know, I think I can say the same, you know, finishing up my college career a few years ago. And so, you know, us combined, but especially him kind of fresh off his college tennis playing experience, I know he's going to bring, you know, a renewed passion to the team. And he's coming off a conference championship there at Hardin-Simmons University. It was the first championship they've won in 15 years, and he was one of the leaders that helped them do that. And so he's going to take that experience he had in college, you know, taking a kind of middle of the road conference team, you know, kind of middle of their conference every year, and then driving them to the elite status that they reached. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves here at Western New Mexico. We're in the middle of the LSC conference, which, you know, is one of the top tennis conferences in the country. You know, it's probably between us and the one down in Florida. I'm forgetting the name of it, but you know, he's going to bring his, you know, his team culture, you know, his mindset. We're going to mesh, we're going to produce a new team culture, a new mindset, and hopefully get this team competing for championships, not just participating in the Lone Star. So
Yeah, I mean, that's a good mindset to have. You always want to compete for championships when it comes down to it. So, you talked a little bit more about international players a little bit ago. So, how, I guess, would you say is the culture of the team with a ton of those international players, and what's the identity then of the team?
this is an interesting conversation I have with pretty much every recruit I talk to. Having a large amount of international student athletes on the team, you know, there's always a question in coaches' heads on, you know, how are these different, you know, legitimate like cultures, their regional cultures going to mesh once they get here. And the one thing I've found is because they're, you know, thousands of miles away from their childhood friends, their family, and all that. The weird thing that happens, the good weird thing that happens, is they come here, and I don't mean this in a cheesy way, but they become brothers and sisters because they don't have, you know, mom and dad to rely on. You know, they can't go home on a weekend and get mom's cooking or talk to dad about whatever issues they're having. You know, they don't have that luxury, and so, you know, they really have to rely on each other, and they, yeah, like I said, they become a family. And it's, as far as like the team culture and all that, how all these different regional cultures come into play here, it really doesn't matter where they're from, because, you know, in the recruiting process, you know, the pitches I throw at them and, you know, the conversations we have all just have to deal with, you know, their passion. You know, I don't really focus or talk about their talent too much. So, you know, they know when they come here that they're going to be surrounded by people that are passionate about what they're doing. You know, they're passionate about tennis, they're passionate about school, they're here to get a degree, but, you know, they know tennis is like flirting with their number one priority. You know, it's flirting with it. And so just them knowing they're constantly around people like that, pushing them and pushing them and pushing them, it produces a very competitive team environment. And, you know, it's them all, majority of them being international. It's a cool thing because they come here and they mesh and they become one team very quickly. And I know that's kind of a quick way to sum all that up, but it's kind of one of those things you just have to be there, you know, and witness it and be a part of it.
You gotta be there just to kind of experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I can kind of relate to them a little bit because I'm almost 2,000 miles away from where I'm from.
Right.
Since I'm from the East Coast, so I can definitely relate. Can't go home every weekend and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, if you were talking to like a recruit, what then would you tell them? Why should they come here over, say, maybe a D1 school or somewhere on the East Coast, another Division II or Division III school?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, there's 3 different ways to approach that. So I'll just attack each one for just about a minute or so. But, you know, you've got the beauty of the region. You know, it's a beautiful place to go to school. You're a few hours away from Phoenix, a few hours away from El Paso. You can take a weekend trip to California. So I mean, and you know, there's tons of outdoorsy things to do here. It's a lot of fun. It's just a cool place to go to school. So I really try to drive that home, and I'm sure every other coach here does as well. Every other recruiting admissions recruiter kind of pushes that too. So that's a big part of this school's identity, I think, is just the beauty and all that. But also, you know, you've got I try to really push home, you know, the team culture, and I won't dive into that too much because we already kind of addressed it. But, you know, a big issue I think people find in collegiate athletics is that there's this misconception that because you're on a team, you're bonded and you're friends and all that. And one thing I feel like a lot of student athletes experience is they go to universities, they get away from home or they stay home, whatever, but they join these competitive programs and they don't click. You know, something's not right. The mindset's off, the culture's off, whatever. The coach is a bozo, whatever. You know, like There's something almost everywhere you go, and you know, the thing I try to always talk to them about here is, you know, as coaches and as a team, we constantly self-reflect, and you know, our team mindset, our team culture, our relationships, our environment, it's always morphing into something new and something exciting, I think. And so through this process of self-reflection every you know, few weeks, every couple months, you know, as a group, as a team, coaches and players, you know, we can always count on, you know, growing closer and becoming a more or what's the phrase, like a well-oiled machine,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
whatever like that. And so it's, I don't know, I think that's a big thing. You know, I can promise them, you know, you'll have great relationships, and you'll have coaches and players, you know, teammates that work on their relationships with you. And so it's a big promise I try to throw at them. But then the third and final thing is, you know, you try to promote the actual tennis as much as you can, you know, especially when recruiting internationally. And you know, when I first got here, you know, there wasn't a lot to brag about, you know, about the tennis. You know, as I mentioned earlier, early 2010s, you know, and when we were in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, the Western New Mexico men's and women's teams, I mean, they were winning conference, going to nationals, making the round of 16 at nationals. I mean, they were balling out, they were doing a good job. And then something happened that, you know, I don't remember, because I was in college playing myself. I was too young. I didn't really know much about WNMU, but something happened. But you know, now, you know, Scott Noble, he came on board 4 or 5 years ago. He's kind of renewed an excitement with the athletic department. He's brought in a lot of new faces, and you know, he's kept around the veterans that have done a good job. And so, you know, there's a lot of excitement here. And so when I was hired here, you know, my job was to figure it out. You know, what can we do to get tennis back on track to those nationally ranked days where we're competing for and winning conference titles. And so we've taken step 1 and 2, I think, over the past couple years. You know, we graduated some great people, and we've had to make some decisions to get rid of some people, you know, but we welcomed in some extremely talented freshmen, extremely talented transfers, and produced a new team in 2 years. And so, you know, now, I don't know if I said this earlier or not, but, you know, I love, this is from Noble, this is from his mouth, but we're not like participating in the Lone Star anymore. It's like
you're competing.
We're competing and winning.
You're not just showing up and getting beat. You're actually coming out and competing and winning matches and trying to prove yourselves.
Yeah, and so with recruits, I can walk them through this 2 to 3 year process we've been on, and I'm just like, look at the momentum we have. You know, you are the type of player I want here. Okay, I can see where you can take this team. Help me help this team get to where we want to go. And I lay them out about a 3 or 4 or 5 year plan, you know, by the time they graduate.
Yeah.
And it excites a lot of them. And I think we've got a roster full of people that, you know, I've had the pleasure of recruiting, and that have trusted me and have committed and come here, that they bought into that vision, you know, and it's been a very, very cool thing to witness and be a part of. So.
All right. So going on how you were the coach of the year last year in the Lone Star Conference. So let's talk about your growth then going into year 3, and backtrack a little on year 2 and what kind of made you coach of the year.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I feel like I have to briefly mention my first year here, you know, 2020, 2021. You know, came in here 23 years old, first job, taking over a team that's been struggling, and I think we had 2 wins, 17 losses, and our only 2 wins were against some Division IIIs in Texas on one of our trips down there. And so team-wise, it was a pretty rough year. You know, we had some standouts like Johnny Vega. That man's a stud. I mean, he came here as a freshman. I don't think he even really knew what to expect from himself. You know, I saw some bright things in him, but he came in and he right away as a freshman, he established himself as one of the best players in our conference region and probably the country. And so, you know, we kept our heads high because we had some bright spots, but the team season was pretty rough. And, you know, that led us into last year, where we got rid of some guys. We graduated some guys. But we had Johnny Joaquin and this guy named Rodrigo returning. And had all these new players, all these new student athletes come in that bought into this idea that I was telling them about, these goals. So they showed up right away, really fiery, with high expectations. And so within 1 year, you know, through constant pursuit of this vision, they went from 2-17 to 11-9, and our win ratio against Division IIs went from 0 that first year to, I think, slightly over 50%, you know, and our only losses were against teams that were at one point nationally ranked. And so the whole Coach of the Year thing, you know, it's got my name on it, and, you know, I have a little photo of it in my office or whatever, but yeah, I mean, it's them, you know, I mean, I stand on the sideline and talk to them in between points, you know, they just put in an extreme amount of effort. They, you know, they kind of said, you know, screw the past. You know, Western New Mexico tennis, this is a new era. You know, we throw around that term a lot. I know football's got that mindset now, you know, this new era of Western New Mexico tennis. So all we're doing is moving forward. We've forgotten about the past, who cares? And when you have a roster full of guys that think that way, it's a deadly thing, you know, for others. So, you know, I'm heading into year 3. I'm just excited. You know, I've got everyone thinking that way. And to the Coach of the Year point, I've got some amazing colleagues in LSC, because that's coach voted. You know, they all kind of vote on that. And, you know, I'm gonna not mention some of them, but we got Wade Morgan at Dallas Baptist. We had Scott Lynn, Midwestern, Josh Cobble at Cameron, Bill Macomb at St. Mary's, and, you know, several others that I've had to rely on at times for advice. And, you know, they're extremely generous and courteous people, because they took me under their wing, especially that first year. They taught me a lot about how Division II works, because I played Division III. Taught me how Division II works, taught me how the LSC works and all this stuff. And so they kind of saw, you know, me mature. They saw our team improve, and they were very kind to throw that honor at us. You know, it's got my name on it, but at us. And so that was an amazing experience, getting to have that honor. So
I think I got 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
So what's your favorite thing then about coaching here?
Coaching here it's a good question. You know, there's a few. I mean, I'd say, like, the type of student athlete that it attracts, that this place attracts, because Silver City is not a metropolis.
No,
it's not. It's not a fancy place. And so, knowing that, I know the student athletes that I get here, they are here for the right reasons. You know, they're not here to go clubbing every Friday and Saturday night. They're not here to party at whatever bar or wherever every weekend. You know, they're here to get a degree, do their best in their classes, and become the best tennis player that they possibly can, and to leave a legacy worth remembering. You know, that's a way I can maybe describe all their mindsets, because that is my favorite thing. It's the players. You know, it's all of them have chosen to come here, and they have this idea of leaving a legacy worth remembering. We all leave legacies, and a lot of us a lot of people leave legacies that aren't really worth remembering,
Oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, we all know people like that. They're, upon self-reflection, some of us might be that person, I don't know. But they all have this goal. It's like, I'm going to do my best so that my professors remember my face. They remember my name. When I see them in Walmart in 5 years, they're going to say, hey, Alex, how you doing? And, on the tennis side of things, they're going to make sure that opponent remembers their name. They're going to put forth that effort. They're going to make sure, and I'm going to make sure that we stay connected and that we have left an imprint on each other. And to do that, you have to give your best. If you don't give your best when you're done, thanks for coming and playing here. But, if you give your best, I will give you my best, and having kids like that, that's my favorite thing. It's an amazing experience. So.
All right, and last question for you today is, for somebody that's not from Silver City, or somebody that's, say, visiting it, vacationing, whatever, what is something that's a must do?
I'm going to say in general, just hiking. I grew up in flatland Texas, Odessa, Texas. I mean, just dirt everywhere. I mean, it was not to, mess with Odessa. I love that place. It was my hometown, but, it's just not a lot of outdoorsy things to do. So when I got here, we went to McComas Peak. We went to the catwalk about an hour 20 minutes away, and it blew my mind. Just being it sounds childish to put these words out there, but just being able to climb a mountain, to walk up a mountain and stand on top of it and look for miles and have a great view. It's like, I'd never gotten to experience that before, and it's really neat. It's just such a beautiful area, lots of great trails, lots of great views, and so that'd be my number one thing. Yeah, go check out the trails, get some recommendations first, and then check out those trails. And so.
All right, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back with the head coach of the cross country and track and field team, Macario Campos. We'll be right back after this message from our Mustang Pride partner.
No matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, Hatch Toyota State Line, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram of Silver City has the vehicle that will fit you.
Welcome back to Rawhide's Mob, presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. I'm here with head cross country and track and field coach, Macario Campos. So, Coach Campos, how are you doing today?
Jake, thank you very much. I want to thank you and our listeners that are out in the airwaves for tuning in. So thank you. Yeah, I'm doing very well. I just noticed that we might be getting a little bit of rain right now. I could hear it on the roof, so that's not good for cross country.
No, it's never fun to run in the rain.
Yeah, especially we haven't heard lightning, so it's still doable.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Yeah. So going into this year, I guess, what are your expectations for your team this year?
It's interesting. On the men's side, I have a lot of returners that are very hungry. On the women's side, there were a lot of ladies that they graduated or exhausted their eligibility. So it's basically there's only 2 returners. The men's I think there's 8, which all of them are top one except my number 1 at the time. He graduated. So they're hungry, and it was very disappointing on the men's side because last year we had the group, the runners, the pack to be on the podium, and however, it happened, it didn't occur there at our conference championship. So we didn't know, just like what happened, like, just ran flat that race. So I told them afterward, I go, the next season starts the next day from this point on, because like I said, now they're hungry for that. 2 weeks later, we made up for it at our regionals, but it's always good to come back with some type of hardware at the conference championships, and we knew that we had the team to do that, to be on the podium. So that was very for us it was shocking, because we were just like, wow, we were deep. So what I've done this year, or throughout the last year, was fill some gaps. We needed to fill some gaps, and those returners that are still young, and filling in with some of the freshmen that I recruited, then they're right now during practice, you could just see that groups just compact. On the women's side, I lost my number one, and the good thing, I lost my number one, but I signed her sister. So and her sister is right there where her sister that graduated left off. So that's exciting, because at the regional meet, her last race of the season, probably with 1 kilometer left, she was still in the contention to make it to the nationals. So it just lost some ground in that last kilometer, and we just kind of stuck around there to see if she would get an at-large bid for that. Unfortunately, just didn't. Sometimes you just have to wait and see. But her sister is right in those footprints where her older sister left off. And on the women's side, we had a couple of illnesses, and that's what hurt us during the postseason. So we're deeper now, and that women's pack, more of the core is more compact. So that's exciting. Just with that, that moves us up in the rankings on that race day. And that's the beauty of it, is we have to do what only we could do here. We can't worry about what the other schools are doing, and we only could do that, and everyone runs on that same day, that same time, and the same course. So that's the uniqueness of the cross country. So it's exciting. Hungry team.
All right, so you'd say, I guess that's your team's identity, is just being hungry then?
The identity is believing in what we do over here, because I can't change the mountains, I can't change the elevation, I can't change things, but I could control what time of day we run. I could control the locations of where we run. So I do have that, and we can't worry about. There's some apps that are out there that monitor training. And if you've logged into this, the way I understand it, because I'm from a different era of technology, you could see what everyone else is doing, because it's set up through your Garmin and so on, so they could see what's going on. And we can't worry about what anyone else is doing. We only can worry about what we're doing, and use what we have at our advantage, which again, we have the elevation, we have the good weather. We have the mountains, we have the dirt trails, and those are to our advantage. Some other teams have to drive out to get to some hills, and we have to drive out to get to some flat areas. We're fortunate to be able to use a golf course. Most universities might not have that availability to be on that amount of grass, which majority of our meets are held on grass. So so that's a big plus that that we use to to our advantage. So and believing in what we're doing, I think that's what you could call what our strength is.
Okay. No, that I like. I kind of like how you put it there. So, I guess coming back to the team a little bit, is there anybody you're expecting to make just like a big leap on the men's side, the women's side, or both sides?
On the men's side, it's
It could be more than one guy.
that's the hard part because the last there is a little separation. Our top four, four of them are running from me to you. There's no
That's
gap.
impressive.
There's no gap. What I'm trying to figure out, who's going to be our fifth scoring runner? Because from number 5 through number 10, there's another group right there. Like I said, there is a gap there, but every workout it changes. I some days I'm like, okay, here's our number 5, here's our number 6, and then the next interval, dang, here's another one. So what's important for me of what I get out of it is, any one of those could have, if one's having a bad day, because that's how compact they are, there's one to come in immediately to have that. Because in cross country, for the ones that don't understand, well, how do you score? Let me just go into how you score. There's certain meets that you could race unlimited, and then there's some meets where most of them are you could have 7 registered, but only 5 score. So regardless of where it's what the entry limitation is, you only have 5 that score. So it's kind of like golf. If you do understand golf, if you come in first, you get 1 point. If you come in second, 2 points, and so on. So the lowest score wins. And in cross country, what we try to do, or what the teams try to do is what we call the pack time, which is from the time distance from our number 1 to number 5. The closer you have that, obviously, and then the higher placing you are, then that's what has winning. So there is a perfect score. If you score 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's the perfect score, and that's a 15. So that's what everyone tries to emulate. But right there, it's hard to say which ones. But like I said, my 1 through 4, they're they could touch each other on any other runs, and that's very impressive. And so that will be exciting. On the women's side, we have 2 returners, which are Brenda and Itzela. Both are looking healthy. And a freshman that of the girl that her sister left, that's Gracie, and she's running very well. We have other freshmen that are doing well. A local, Lindsay, and then we have another one from the Albuquerque area, Aubrey. So those are the individuals that come to mind right now of that. But like I said, that's the interesting part for me, is like, wow, sometimes you think, oh, this is set, and then next week it just rotated a little bit. So that's exciting.
So I guess going off of your recruiting process now, so it's kind of like what I asked Coach Hunt earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What's your pitch to somebody? Why should they come here over, say, a D1 school? Or D3, or somewhere else in the country? Why should they come to Western New Mexico to run?
Yeah, and that's a good question. Jake, if you could look back in this monitor, look at the beautiful site that we have, and that's Silver City, even for our native residents here. Because a lot of times when they think of the South, they think of Las Cruces, they think of Hobbs, because those are the bigger cities. And they might have, well, Hobbs doesn't have anything, so it's just flat. But Las Cruces, has their peaks through there, but they're just dirt. And when they come for a visit, and see that we have 3.2 million acres at our backyard where you could see a deer every day. You could see a deer on campus at least once or twice a night or a week during the day, and the availability of trails that we have, and just the quality of education that you can receive here. You know, we did get a transfer from a powerhouse D2 school, and he wasn't able to, and he was a top a runner in, you know, his credentials out of high school, but it was difficult to be on the team, and you know, it's exciting for him to actually get that experience to put on a jersey during the regular season and not just at a home meet. And so that's going to be exciting. And he's one of those that, like I mentioned, that in that top group that's, you know, they're hammering out. There's just, you know, they all can reach out and you know, touch their teammate there. So yeah. But other than that, just the quality, you know, safe town. Dr. Shepard 10 years ago when he came, I believe it's about 10 years ago that he came aboard. The university campus needed a facelift, and within that year, I mean, he got things rolling, and so it's exciting to see that, and that's something that I've told some alumni, and then some of the ones that we signed. You're going to see some projects that you might not see the end of it because they're still in the process, and then there's some where you come in and someone else didn't see them, but now you get to cherish those the projects. So it's neat. I mean, our campus is you know, beautiful, and Dr. Shepard has done a great job to beautify it.
Yeah, I agree what you're talking about with like not being able to see all those projects and stuff. I can relate to that because my senior year at Penn State, we were supposed to have this brand new facility, this $2 billion communications facility, and it got delayed because the pandemic, and it didn't get finished till after I graduated. And my sister, who's a junior there, sent me pictures of it, and it's beautiful. It's something I would have loved to use, but I'm glad like everybody that's coming through that school, their College of Communications, gets to use it now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got to use all the old stuff, and the old stuff was fantastic. But yeah, I'm a little sad I didn't get to use it, but at the same time, I'm happy that it's there for new students coming in, and it makes us a more desirable destination.
Yeah, and something to that, which I'm glad, you know, we just broke ground with the new softball field, and a lot of times those seniors won't get a chance to play on that, and to have it projected completion of, I think, February. Man, that's great for them to actually get a chance to experience that on that new field. So those are just some of the perks, and you know, when you hear, oh, that's you feel sorry for the seniors because sometimes they don't get a chance to experience it. But in this case, they're gonna move along well, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Like I've been on the other side of it too. In high school, my senior year, we got new soccer jerseys and new basketball jerseys that were supposed to come the year before, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I felt bad that, you know, my friends in the grade above me, they didn't get the experience and, you know, look fresh and get new jerseys, but I was happy to be the one to break those jerseys in.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So when it comes to meet day, or even the day before, do you have any type of superstitions that you like to do as a coach?
Not really superstitions or anything. I mean, we just have to make sure that the athletes are rested. Depending on where we're traveling, you know, we have locations where we're going to stop, and it's not because, we have to stop there because this is, you know, we the last time we stopped here went well. No, it's we have to, in our sport, you know, we have to have a lot of digestion time. So it's not, you know, let's eat right now, and an hour and a half later you're competing. That's you'll see the negative parts of that.
Oh yeah, I've experienced those negative parts before.
Yeah. So in our sport, we compete traditionally, the regular season, let's just say it's Saturday morning. So there's no time of, let me stay up and do something till 10. I mean, we have to be already in bed by 10, 9. So keeping them rested and then going, then race day, depending on what time it is, and then each individual is going to be different. So we need to make sure that some have, one thing for sure is you never want to experiment with something new on race day. That's the number one error that you could have. So have a conversation of the thing. Well, I'm going to be hungry. Well, okay, what have you eaten for breakfast, and what can you tolerate, and how much fluids that you could do. So then it's adequate, so there is enough time for the digestion. That the men might race earlier, so the women might have an opportunity to get a little bit more of breakfast than the men. So it's understanding that, but the main thing is to make sure that they're rested and hydrated. As the postseason comes into, a lot of that is just fuel that you need to replenish. So or a fuel that's going to be used up. So making sure that we're getting some carbo loading.
All right, I think I got 2 more questions for you
today.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite thing about coaching here?
Just the passion. I mean, I grew up in Lordsburg, which is 45 minutes south on the Highway 90, and actually I ended up graduating from here. So I ventured off at different universities and finished up here. So it's a great location. Now with the addition of track and field, that's one of the positive things, because now with recruiting, we're able to approach that recruit that might say, well, I'm not choosing Western New Mexico because of not having a full track team. So because if you know cross country, and you might think, well, they're 2 different sports, but 99 out of 100 cross country runners do track and field. So when a university, how we were doing it was, when a university only sponsored cross country, then we were the NCAA allowed us a shortened season, and we weren't eligible for any conference championships or if anyone got any qualifying marks. So once you start getting into that tier 1 recruit athlete, then those questions come about. Hey, well, here's this obstacle. So now that has been lifted. So we'll see the benefits. I think this year, because when we added, it was April, and the signing was almost complete by then. But that's the exciting, and because we have the key elements to be successful with the altitude. You look at the top programs in D1. Northern Arizona, they're in Flagstaff, which is 7,000. You look at Alamosa, Colorado, at Adams State, they're the powerhouse. You also have, they kind of flip the coin basically between them and Western State, which is also at 7,000. So you look at those successful programs, they're at altitude, and we have that. We're the highest Lone Star Conference school, which in our sport it's beneficial. We don't want to get into the exercise physiology of why, but I have to take advantage of those. We have to take advantage of those, and the team understands that.
Okay, so you have the track season. It's just starting up this spring, correct?
Correct.
So what are your expectations then for this track season that's going to come in the spring?
With our sport, we have the rankings. The rankings with the Lone Star top 25 in each sport are the ones that qualify to the conference championship. So in our sport, it's measurable. So you could race this week. We're not in the rankings because we didn't have the sponsorship, but we could see, hey, we ran this time. You could see where we would do. So we're just trying to get as many runners as possible at that conference championship. We do have some that could battle up there for podiums. And so that's exciting to come in and be able to do that. And, who knows, maybe one or two could possibly get at this point, if not this year, the following year, be close to that provisional national qualifying time. So that's exciting. That's kind of what we're looking for. Try to get as many student athletes or runners at our conference track and field championships.
All right, last question for you
Sure.
here today. What's a must-do in Silver City for someone that's never been here?
I think going into the downtown area and touching bases with our Chamber of Commerce, our visitor center, because they're going to give you a little bit more of history of that. If you're an arts fan, then you're going to find many galleries. If you love to eat, you're going to find a lot of little hole in the wall restaurants that are non-franchise that you'll want to come back for that. Walking in the big ditch is something pretty neat. You just have to be careful during this time of the year because there's three washes that merge into the downtown big ditch, and that was Main Street. If you're not from here, that was Main Street at the time, but one of those 100-year floods that came through and washed everything out. There's only one house that remains from that. So then that's when Bullard became what is the downtown area. Yeah, and going to our museums, we have quality museums of local history, Southwest history, of Native American mining history. So just touching bases with those individuals, and I would start off with the visitor center there, our Murray Visitor Center.
All right. I'd like to thank you for your time here on the podcast today.
And Jake, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back after this message from our Mustang Pride partner. If you've ever got a hankering for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, why don't you stop on down by Denny's, as we're open 24/7, and not to mention, it's Rawhide's favorite place to eat, Denny's. And we're back here on Rawhide's Mob, presented by Hatch State Line Toyota and Hatch Ford of Silver City. Some Mustang news coming up this weekend. The volleyball team will travel to St. Martin's University, where they will play in the St. Martin Invitational against St. Martin's, starting on Thursday, September 1st at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. They will be there all weekend, where they will play their 4 matches. Also on Saturday, football will have their first game of the season. So Mustang fans, make sure you are ready to be loud and proud. Let's get rowdy in those stands. Make sure you have your favorite beverage for the tailgate before the game. Make sure, you get home safe and all that. We get to play Adams State University at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The game will also be streaming on the Lone Star Conference Digital Network. And with that, that's going to do it for us here today on Rawhide's Mob. I'm your host, Jake Wetzel. We'll see you next week with some more intriguing guests and an update on how the Mustangs are doing.